You're listening to this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. It would greatly benefit the show. Hello and welcome to Movie Beaters with the Farx brothers. I'm Kirk.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Nick.
And we're joined by Owen Royce, writer-director. And we're discussing Encounters of the Third Kind, is that right?
Close Encounters of the Third.
Close Encounters.
Wow. This was Kirk's first time seeing the movie.
Ever.
Owen, we asked you to pick a movie. Since you have Searchlight coming out, I want to make sure I keep plugging Searchlight in each of these segments. Can you explain how Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Searchlight are related to one another?
Well, they're both following stories about UFOs, and they're both set in the 70s. I think that's like the most, coherent reason why they're the same. But I do a few homages to Close Encounters, like the opening credit or the opening shot of the movie. You have this rise in music, and then a farmhouse comes up. That's very similar to. It was literally kind of lifted that from Close Encounters. Like you hear the rise in music going, and then all of a sudden, boom, and then the first shot of the movie happens. And then later on, I reference Dark Side of the Moon, and that is the other side of the Devil's Tower in Close Encounters, the airstrip that they build is Dark Side of the Moon. So when he says he's taking him to the Dark Side of the Moon, that's not a real thing in this story. I just threw that in there because I thought it was kind of a funny joke and like made it up essentially that he refers to Homestead Air Force Base as the Dark Side of the Moon because that's where he had access to these alien bodies and this UFO.
Oh, that's interesting.
Do you believe in aliens?
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so like aliens is kind of like a clunky term. Like non-human intelligence, that's the more used term nowadays because we don't know what it is. Like, right? We don't know if what we are being exposed to is induced. Is it put on artificially? Which is a lot of what Jacques Vallée would say is going on. Like, you can look throughout history and all these abduction cases come off very artificial. A lot of the people that have them, they're like, it's very real, but it felt like it was staged. And like, we're talking hundreds of years ago too. This has also been, reported in those where it's been more like fairies and like whatever, or just strange short beings that they encounter. And it's almost the same exact setup over and over and over again. The beings themselves seem to change according to, like what people believe in at the time, but it's the same thing, and it's not really doing anything that seems important. Ever.
You mean the aliens?
What we would describe as alien abduction, right?
Yeah,
or interactions, which is, Close Encounter of the third and fourth kind, I think. I think it's the fourth.
Wait, what's the fourth? Third is where you see it.
Third is where you have some interaction with aliens. Fourth, I think, is abduction cases.
Oh, okay.
And I was never big into abduction cases. I had sleep paralysis. I was kind of, wrote it off as that. But now I don't. I very much believe that it's a real thing. I don't know that it's a physical real thing. I think it could be more of a psychic phenomena, which is what the Air Force and most people that studied it always called it. They called it phenomena because the two things would be kind of integrated. There would be people talking to others in their heads. Some people would see something, other people would not see anything. And so Jacques Vallée has put forward that this is some type of intelligence that has been interacting with the human race for a very long time and is actively creating mythology around itself. So it's a control system of some sort, and we don't know why. So whether or not it's aliens, like coming from another planet, higher dimensional beings, if it's just us doing this, if it's just a weird quirk of the human mind, we don't know. But it seems to be an other of some sort.
So you don't think it's people getting stuff wrong. You think that it's some sort of non-human intelligence open to the possibility of something creating mythology could be us from a different time? Or
Yeah, very much.
The interstellar argument.
I think what you got to kind of open your mind up to is like, what is the technology that we're observing? And we've all seen it now. We've all seen this. It's been acknowledged by the government that there is something that can turn on a dime physically, and it's a physical object, and go another direction at 30,000 miles an hour, right? And it can escape the atmosphere. It can go just as fast and not even break and go into the ocean. We don't understand it because like the level of energy it would take to just stop and turn on a dime and go the other direction, that's just impossible. Like I've heard numbers, I couldn't quote what they are, but it's a ridiculous amount of energy. So just knowing that it is real probably has some level of manipulation of space. And then with space, you have the manipulation of time. So you can extrapolate some ideas of like, okay, so this could also be, and I don't like time machines. I don't like time travel. I think it's stupid, but I have to acknowledge it's probably likely.
Wait till people hear about your thoughts about Superman.
Yeah,
oh my gosh. Can't say them now, but okay.
So that opens the door to all the possibilities. So all the possibilities are there. So this thing can, apparently in these vehicles, you can travel between space. You can travel hyperdimensionally out of space. That's what they say anyways, that it goes higher dimensional. Like it goes to a different access that we don't have. And that's why the Navy and the Air Force used to say, when reporting a UFO in their handbooks, how did it disappear? And like very specific, like not how did it leave, not how did it take off, how did it disappear? Because these oftentimes just blink out. They're just gone. Like they glow really bright and they're gone.
Do you believe in the multiverse?
No, I think it's stupid.
Okay. So like if
Wait, hold on, what's stupid about the multiverse?
and honestly, I don't disbelieve it. I just don't think that it works with consciousness. What I feel consciousness is you are actively collapsing moments of time all the time. So you're dealing with probability waves in front of you and most likely probability waves behind you. So like in current quantum physics, they're getting to the point of not only do you have a probable future, but you probably have a probable past. So you'll hear over the next decade or so a lot of them talking about present events affecting the past and future events affecting the past affecting present events. And it seems to just go back and forth in a somewhat malleable yet probable way. So it's like you're not coming up with a completely different way of doing something. It's a probable, like it's most likely going to happen this way. Might have a slight variation this way, and this way, but it's probable still. So probability waves out in front of you, like once the moment that we live in, which is only right now, there is no actual space in front of us or minutes from now. There is no space minutes ago. That is your memory creating a matrix of, information about what you observed and creating a history and a past that doesn't exist. And then we're able to use all that as a way to extrapolate a future and come up with pattern recognition and be like, oh, this could happen in the future. That gives us this illusion of time. Reality is time is the dimensional construct we have come up with and we put on top of what basically is just change, moment to moment change. You literally live on the razor edge of nothing. It is just whatever is going on right now.
Wow. So that would mean that maybe the multiverse couldn't exist then because it's too much going on top of each other?
With fractals and stuff, yes, it seems like you would, to make an infinite universe, you would have to have all these possibilities. But, and these are discussions I've had with my dad for a very long time, who's a guy way smarter than me.
What does he do?
He, for most of his life, he was a carpenter.
All right.
But,
like Jesus.
Yeah, right. But he had a 151 IQ, and he has a book called The Theory of Everything, and he goes into 0 and 1 being a theory of everything, and very much on the idea of consciousness and how it actually starts off with contrast. So with emergent qualities, emergent potential, and emergent actualities, which is our moment to moment. So like every moment you are actualizing, you're collapsing the waveform as you observe it. So that it becomes a thing. It cannot change. It has happened. It's done. So like that's what being conscious right now is so important, because there isn't a you and then you made another choice. You made that one choice, and that one choice collapsed the waveform, and that becomes a reality. Does that make sense?
That sounds complicated. Yeah.
Well, then how could it not? I'm sorry.
How would even time travel work then? If that
I don't know.
consciousness-
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't
That's
like time
wild,
travel
yeah.
because it's stupid. But like it's also, it seems probable also, and also the fact that people very much. I've researched quite heavily into remote viewing and the ability to essentially take your consciousness is non-local, and you're able to view other time and other places. So I have to accept it's like you guys know it. It's not reverse causality, but it's like presentiment. It's the ability, like human beings apparently have around an 18-second physical response to a stimulation that they will have. So like they've done studies where they're showing you all these pictures, and things that are grotesque or pornographic or something will come up at a random generated way. They found that those specific pictures, within about 18 seconds of it happening, their body reacts, and like they can actually test this. So somehow, evolutionary wise, we have some ability to perceive what I'm guessing is probability waves that are telling you what's about to happen. Whether or not you can do anything about it, I have no idea. But information seems to kind of fly in the face of causality. So I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm probably getting way off of film here. So
Well, look, here's a couple of problems I have with what you're saying, and this is a bait show, so I've got to come out against something that you're saying, is that we know time is experienced differently in different points in space. So how do you explain, the, what you call them, waves in the going forward and backward? Like the wave patterns would change significantly when you get off of, Earth and go into another space.
Yes and no, because like you're still existing in moment to moment reality. How you perceive it might be different, but you are still accountable in that second. So like if you like slowed me down, you froze my brain, or I'm going near the speed of light, right? They had this stupid thing where they used to be like, oh, we could put a wormhole. If we had wormholes, we could have a wormhole here and put one on a starship. And then that starship goes at the speed of light, right? So like their time slows down comparative to ours. So they're only like, say they've been traveling for 100 years, but they've only experienced maybe a few hours, few days, whatever, that we could then use the wormhole to travel through and then in onto that ship and be at a different time. But you wouldn't be. You were still processing the time, even though you're perceiving it at a different place. So like you stop that ship, now you're going to be in the same time as somebody else. You just processed only a few days, but it doesn't really matter. Those days were still in the process of the amount of time that has passed.
No.
That makes, I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard the example of if wormholes could exist and then you're going to a ship that's moving at the speed of light, because this is Einstein's theory of relativity, right?
It's more of a Kip Thorne thing, but like, yeah, he got in.
Oh, yeah, he's the one that argued with Neil deGrasse Tyson that that like led to Interstellar happening, right? Kip Thorne?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, he's okay, yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah,
one.
he also had the contact, like he gave
Yes.
billions and billions of stars in our galaxy. What was his name?
Oh,
Cosmos.
Stephen Hawking?
No, Cosmos. He, wow, I can't remember his name right now.
Neil deGrasse Tyson?
No, he would have been the Neil deGrasse Tyson original.
Cosmos.
Carl Sagan?
Carl Sagan.
That's right. Sorry.
Yes, Carl Sagan. What was I talking about now? I've totally lost track.
Millions and millions of stars.
Yeah, I lost it.
Kip Thorne and...
he gave Carl Sagan the idea for a wormhole in Contact.
Yeah, okay. Yes, and was it Zemeckis did Contact? Is that right? And didn't Zemeckis give Spielberg feedback on this script? Was he in... Because, like, Spielberg wrote this one, but he got, like, 8 different people to give him feedback or helped shape the story. Paul Schrader being one. I can't remember if Zemeckis or if he's just like learning from Spielberg at this point.
I don't know. Like it seemed like he understood. I don't know. It's really kind of a cool story because like my dad argued with me one night about this, but he was talking about the book. The book is a real journey of multiple characters through this wormhole. I've never read the book.
The book for Contact.
Right. Exactly.
Not Classifications of the Third Kind, which is an original Spielberg. Okay.
Well, it's actually a book of J. Allen Hynek.
What?
But
the book Contact.
Oh, right. I had gotten into near-death experiences over like the last few years. I've listened to thousands upon thousands of them. Absolutely fascinating because of these people die and then are medically dead, and majority of them have almost to a T the same experience, but slightly different. It's very subjective. It's very almost hallucinatory, but the one thing that always sticks with me is every single one of them says that was more real than this. Like that was reality. This is the dream. Mm-hmm. And like it every single time. It kind of blows my mind. So what you have in Contact is essentially they played you both ways. They showed you a journey, that happened in a split second, right? But what they showed you is a woman traveling through this tunnel of light and eventually ending up in this other space where she meets her father. And he tells him that she's not ready yet and sends her back. That's 100% a near-death experience. That's exactly what you find over and over and over again is you generally meet somebody, whether it's a religious figure, a member of your family, whatever it is, they will, if it is not your time or you have the choice to go back, they'll generally tell you it's not your time and you have to go back.
I heard this.
And then you get sent back. And like they always experience a rush and then a pop and like a very tight constraining feeling. And, so I find them fascinating and I never gave it much thought before. And now I do a lot just because it does give me that sense that we are a higher dimensional something and like this is more the simulation than anything. Even though this means a lot, your choices, how you're collapsing reality, the being that you create, the being that you observe, over and over again, it's always like, it's complete forgiveness when you die. Like, they're like, nothing you did matters. And that kind of blows my mind, like that whole idea, like nothing you did before, it's not your fault. But it's like this, it's just a general story of like trying to, be this other being that wants to descend and live a life and like make choices and do its best with what it has and then learn from it and then eternally does this. And that's the general storyline you're going to get from all NDEs.
Where I have heard this, the meeting somebody sends you back and then the constrained popping that you described was at a people's fair that I had to work at for my swim team in high school. And this is like folks that think they're witches and that sort of thing. And this person was talking about a near-death experience and like how that radicalized them into some sort of, can't remember if they were a Wiccan or a witch or something like that. Not to try and minimize the veracity of people experience having the same like story of what happened and being able to track like, oh, that's weird that everyone would say the weird, the same, seeing the person being sent back and then, but just seeing it at a people's fair where the people were fairly odd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure. Like, I've had it relayed to me twice of someone. When I was a little kid, I had my mother's uncle had died. Saw all these colors. This is exactly what they described. And then ended up seeing his dad. And his dad sat down with him, sang him a little song they sang to him when he was little, and then told him, it's not your time. You have to go back. And then he came back. I was just telling my aunt about this maybe 2 years ago, and she's like, oh, my sister had one. She died during childbirth and saw her, not her father, but a grandfather or something like that. And they talked for a little bit and then eventually said, it's not your time. You go back. And then you go back. So for me, I very much believe these people's experience. I don't know what it means. I don't know where it is. I don't know what it is. It doesn't really even matter. I think it's absolutely fascinating that they have it. It's like, no matter what, like, I'm very comfortable with the idea of, like, you die, you're done. It's great. I actually find it very relieving. I've actually been a little disturbed now that I feel like I have been shown a lot of anecdotal evidence that maybe says no. You know, that actually kind of bothers me a little bit.
Hey, it's motivating the president to try to stop the war in Ukraine, and by the time this comes out, it might be over. I don't know.
Thinks he's a little low on that totem pole. I think maybe he should have hustled a little earlier.
Does he see a shaman or a witch doctor or something that's talking to him about totem poles? I'm sorry, Mr. President, but you're coming in low on the totem pole.
I mean, you got some pretty weird folks out there. Like, there's so many people in the Senate and in intelligence services and in Congress that believe that aliens are actually demons, and this is a real thing. Like, they're talking about it being a demonic force.
Well, if they kill us, aren't they demonic?
I mean, I have not heard of any aliens killing anybody. So
it could be an independence that we don't like. These are nice aliens. They're not that. This is the non-spoiler section that we have to dump out of soon. But it could be the Roland Emmerich aliens, and that, in which case, yeah,
it could be. It sounds like a Neanderthal's take on what an advanced thing would be. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're gonna come take all my fruit. I know it. They're gonna bash our heads in because that's what we deal with every day. But the reality is, has that happened? You know, like, and why would you take over us now when we might be a threat? Like, you could have done it so long ago. Like, there's so much opportunity. And also, honestly, if you have that advanced technology that you've displayed, it would be over in a second. None of us would, you know. If you've ever looked into any of the Air Force incursions over nuclear arms bases, they've shut the whole thing down. And, like, the description of it, like Robert Salas and a few of the other folks that listened to the older guys talking about it, they're basically like, none of these ICBMs talk to each other. There's not a switch that you can hit and knock them all out. So that have 8 of them go down suddenly while they're observing this giant, you know, oval red thing hanging over the gate. And then there's tons of other versions of this, like in Colorado and other things. I think even my uncle might have had some knowledge of this. He was in the Air Force, and he used to say stuff like, the Air Force knows a lot more about this than they're talking about. And that was in the 80s. And he was stationed in Colorado. So I think, there's just no way. We would be done in a second if they wanted to. I think what they have done is already, whatever it is, seems to have already done all the hard work. That's what I'm talking about with it's an intelligence that doesn't make itself apparent. It doesn't show itself to everybody. It shows itself to some people, which then becomes mythology. It becomes talked about, it becomes believed in, but it's not a concrete thing. And this is what you've seen all throughout history. Mythology and great grand spectacles of things being generated and shown to people, and then they tell everyone, and then it affects how people believe. So it's a control system. So most likely, we're already in that system where they don't need to do anything with us. What would you even want to do with us?
Well, the counterbait to all of this is that, A, we don't know. B, you could say that it's the arrival argument where maybe the aliens have to collaborate with us because while, yes, they could destroy us now, there's something that we could do for them in the future, which, you know, that's a time travel movie where the aliens can tell that at some point in the future, the human race is going to do something that these, you know, the octopus people need. I can't remember what their race is called. So they're like cultivating the humans to get to a point. It's like raising a plant to them. We could be like a plant. So I don't know. It could be that.
It's not very effective.
That one is another one where you're getting into science fiction, getting to that newer stage of like understanding higher concepts of like presentiment. Okay, reverse causality. Of all of a sudden, she is now understanding a language, right? Mm-hmm. She now understands this language, which then helps her understand time in a different nonlinear way. She gets information from the past and the future, and she can pull them together consciously. And that's how they think the universe actually works and how we are actually very intuitive with this. But, you can't, it's not really people that can control it. But it's like, I love the idea that you gave this person a way of thinking that changed their mind. Because, like, think about dimensionality, right? If there's higher dimensions, you're already in them, but you don't perceive them. You can't not be in them. They're part of the universe. You would always be in them. Doesn't mean you understand them.
Well, I might not exist in them yet, because in like the interstellar version of the world, like I as a three-dimensional being experiencing the fourth dimension of time might not show up in the fifth dimension until a certain point. And since they're able to affect time, my three-dimensional, my corporeal form may never exist in that fourth dimension because of my parents never meeting or me falling off that truck when I was 9, So
that's a movie take on it, though. I just don't see it as like
based on Kip Thorne's
yes,
whole argument.
It's cool and all. But like,
You don't believe it?
no.
Well, I'm going to end the non-spoiler section because we went along in the interview, something to look forward to, dear listener, who is a linear listener and not just sampling segments, as probably most people I would imagine do. So that we can talk about the movie without having to worry about spoilers.
Thank you for listening. For more JK Productions, find us on Instagram at JK Productions Team and on Facebook, JK Productions MN.